everybody, and welcome to our Divorce Coach Clinic webinar. Thank you for joining us this morning. It's very nice to see so many of you on here. We are super excited because today we are going to be helping you if you are feeling heartbroken or if you are worried about being single at Christmas. So, guys, it is a tough time of year, I know, having been through it all myself, going through your first Christmas being single, or maybe this isn't your first Christmas. Maybe you've been single for a long time and you're still struggling. Well, even better that you've shown up today because we are here to help you. So today you will see that we have some other amazing people joining me today. I'm very excited to welcome, we have Zemar Dajani. Hello, how are you?
Very well. Thank you so much for having us.
You're welcome. We've got Gayleen Poposki.
Thanks, Sara. I'm so pleased to be here.
Megan Patel.
Hello. Happy Christmas to everyone.
Oh my goodness.
early.
Say happy Christmas. I don't know, maybe not. I was in London last night and all the lights are on, so I was thinking, gosh, it does feel very Christmassy, doesn't it? It's starting to feel very Christmassy. So these guys are training with me in my breakup and divorce coach training school, and we have been working for a long time together now, haven't we, guys? So we wanted to put on this webinar to help you guys out there who are struggling, because we know it's a really tough time. I can see lots of people jumping on right now. So if you have a question, if you want to ask us any questions, you can pop them in the chat. So the chat box is open, and if you want to pop anything in there, you can, any questions. And just as we're going, if something resonates with you, if you agree, if you don't agree, if you're worried about anything in particular, this is your chance to get your questions answered by people that know a lot about this field. This is what we do, this is what we live and breathe. So yeah, do pop your questions in the chat. It's really nice to see so many of you on here. I know this is one of the most popular webinars that I've put on for a long time. It got so many people commenting and sharing, so I'm excited to get stuck into the topic. So if you are watching and you can hear us, pop a yes in the chat box so we know you're there. And if you are worried about anything, oh, let's see, we've got a yes and a hi, ladies. Hello. I would really like this to be as interactive as possible for you guys watching, because we're here to help. Okay, we're going to talk about different areas, and each of my coaches have got areas that they specialize in that they want to share with you. So we're going to give you some interesting content. But if you do have something that you need answering or you're really worried about, then pop it in the chat and we will answer your questions. So we will come to those a little bit later on. But Christmas, I mean, gosh, there is so much in this topic, right? I mean, having been through it myself, I know how tough it is sometimes when you are on your own at Christmas, because it really is a festive season, which is quite traditionally a family time, right? It's a family time. So, you know, normally people are looking forward to spending time with their families. And yes, managed men are welcome to attend the meeting. Of course, come on in. We've got we've got more men coming, I'm sure. This is something that affects all of us, whatever age, whatever gender. You know, these issues affect all of us. So you're very, very welcome. And any questions you have from the male perspective, we will gladly answer for you too. So yes, it just so happens we've got 3 female coaches on with me today, but we do have male coaches and they will be on in the following month. So do check those out as well if you want advice from a male breakup coach. We have those too in our training school. So yeah, so it can be traditionally a family time. And when that's the case, it can make you feel even more isolated because you're the one that isn't in that family scenario. And when I say family, I mean the traditional, you know, opinion of families, you know, married with 2 kids, you know, that's kind of what people think about, isn't it? And when you're not in that scenario, it can be really, really difficult. And the issues we're going to talk about today is, you know, how do you manage when it's your first Christmas and you're trying to get through that festive season, the 25th of December, sort of looming, isn't it? Like a big problem coming up, which you're worried about. So how do we dial that down for you so you can manage that better? We're also going to look at if you've not got your kids at Christmas. I know for a lot of people that is really challenging. You know, if you don't have your kids on Christmas Day, what do you do? How do you deal with that? You know, how do you process that? Now, is it going to be a terrible Christmas this year because you're single or because you don't have your kids or because you're heartbroken? I'll give you a little secret. It's not going to be terrible. This is going to turn it around for you. We're going to help you with that. So much to talk about. I would love to bring in some of my coaches right now and see what they think. So let's go to Zemma. Zemma, I know that, you know, a lot of people are worried, aren't they, about not seeing children at Christmas. It can be really, really difficult when you're thinking, gosh, I'm used to having my kids at Christmas. I didn't sign up for no kids at Christmas. What's your advice when it comes to people struggling with that?
Great question. Actually, I live and breathe that question myself because my daughter's father lives in a different country. So we have this, you know, this issue every single Christmas, every single summer holiday, Easter as well. So she's always with him in America, which is where he lives. It's tough. It's not easy. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but there are ways to deal with that. So one of the ways is to schedule fun activities for you, because Christmas is about celebration. So celebrate your life, celebrate you. Do things, schedule things in your diary that you enjoy doing. It could be going to the theater, it could be going to an opera, it could be even traveling. You can travel right by yourself. You don't need to wait and much longer to do things that you've always wanted to do. If it's your first Christmas, you know, one other option is maybe you can make plans with your friends. You know, I'm sure you're not the only person who's going to be single on Christmas. So if you have other single friends, you know, do something fun together. If you have other friends who may also be in a similar situation, you know, maybe their children are not with them, or even if their children are with them, you can, you know, join them. You know, it doesn't, you know, there's no reason for you not to, just because your children's not with you. You can still join in the fun with other families and other friends, you know, by yourself. So there's no shame in, you know, in showing up, you know, by yourself.
Absolutely. I think it can be really hard.
Sorry?
I think it can be really hard, can't it, when everyone else is happy and in family environments, to want to go and spend time with families can be really tough. I think a lot of times people want to lock themselves away and not do that. And I understand that, but actually you're right. There's no shame in that. And obviously, you know, a lot of people will be, you know, welcoming you into those family environments with open arms. And it's a different experience sometimes to experience Christmas with another family. Although, you know, I do know that sometimes it can be tricky, can't it, when you're seeing other parents with their kids and you don't have yours for Christmas.
Another suggestion I had is that you can actually celebrate Christmas before Christmas. So you don't have to wait until Christmas Day to celebrate with your children. So, you know, you can say, okay, well, let's celebrate it 1st of December, because that's the day, you know, we're going to be together. You know, we're free. You can, you know, give presents to each other, and just imagine that today is Christmas Day. So Christmas Day can be any day of the year. So you don't have to wait for the actual day to celebrate with your children.
Absolutely. And I'm a big fan of that. I do that with my son every alternate year. I don't have him for Christmas. And we've been doing this for years because I've been separated since my son was 1 and he's now 13. God, I can't believe I've got a teenager. It's crazy. But yeah, I'm just getting used to that because it was just last week. Don't feel old enough to have a teenager. But anyway, but yeah, every alternate year we celebrate Christmas on a different day. And what we do is it's quite interesting because we set it up. So we have Christmas Eve, Christmas Day and Boxing Day. So we don't just do the 25th, we just move it. And I've had it, like Zemma said, as early as the 1st of December. Sometimes that's just the weekend that I have. I don't have him again till after Christmas. So you set it up, and guys, this really, really works to the point where I have my mum and dad over because it's nice to have the grandparents around. And we just recreate exactly that Christmas weekend, but we do it earlier. And it's really hard sometimes to get a Christmas tree. We are literally the only people, because I like to get a real one. We're like going around going, can we have a Christmas tree? It's dead. It will be dead by the 25th. It's like, no, we need it for the 1st of December. People are like, what? But anyway, we get the Christmas tree, we put it up, we decorate it like a month before anybody else is even thinking about this stuff. And then we do the whole thing to the point where it was our Christmas Day on the 2nd of December, I think it was. And I said to Dad, I've run out of cranberry jelly. Can you go and get some? So he went, oh yeah, okay. And so he went up to town and he just came at Dad. He goes, so weird for Christmas Day. It's so busy. There's so many people around. I just didn't think the shops would be open. Right, Dad, this is a Christmas Day. We're just reenacting. I was like, oh my God, you get so into it. You get so into it. We're like leaving out the cookies with Santa and everything. So you get all the magic moments with your kids. You're just doing it on a different day. And I think that's really important. Like you said, Summer, you don't have to wait. And I also think that kids take their lead from us. Like if we're excited and we're like, look, you get 2 Christmases, guys. then that's
Exactly.
something that actually they get really excited about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Selma, do you find that with your daughter, if you like say, look, you get 2 Christmases, you get 2 sets of presents, you know, how does she respond to that?
She milks it big time. So she knows that, you know, especially like on your birthday, she's like, oh, you know, I want this, you know, this item. I was like, no, it's too much. It's too expensive. Well, okay, then I'll ask Daddy because he's gonna get it from me. So, you know, it works, you know. I mean, and especially when kids are old enough to realize that, you know, they can take advantage, but at the same time, it helps them. It helps them cope with the situation that, you know, both parents are not living in the same country, in my case. So there are things to look forward to, and there are things that can make it seem better.
Absolutely. To the point when my son came out of nursery, because obviously he was young when I split up from his dad, and he came out of nursery. He was so excited to have these 2 Christmases. And then Karen came out. Now, if any of you are parents, you'll all know a Karen. Karen is the kind of mum, she's lovely. I get on really well with her, but you do not want to be on the wrong side of Karen, right? And she's marching across the gravel drive towards me outside nursery. She's like, Sara? And I'm like, oh God. I was like, Karen? She goes, can I have a word? And I was like, yeah, okay. I think Santi must have been, my son must have been about 3 at this point. And she said, James came home last night asking if me and his daddy could separate so he could have 2 Christmases like your son. I was like, may have overplayed that card, but he's very excited. So you see, kids take their lead from us, which is really important.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much. Now, Gaining, Christmas means lots of things to different people, doesn't it? What does Christmas mean for you?
Christmas does mean a lot of things for different people because some people have closer families, some people don't. But if we look at the real meaning of Christmas, which I don't think anybody's really done, and Christmas can be excess, Christmas is not excess, right? Christmas means love. It's like Christmas is meant to be about love. And which also means the energy that comes with Christmas is like a type of grace, which you could describe as an elegant kindness. Now, depending on where we are in our breakup, you know, if it's the start of the breakup, or sometimes we're so busy with kids and family that we suppress our pain. And it has been proven that anything we suppress does come up more strongly. But the interesting thing about heartbreak, there's a pain in, you know, heartbreak pain was considered an illness 100 years ago. And it still has an effect on the heart. It can be fatiguing, and there is physical symptoms. So we don't always take that into account when we're in heart pain or when we break up, that we are going to be exhausted because it's the body's response. Nothing wrong with you. It's a normal response. Not only that, romantic love has an addictive effect. And if we take a scan of the brain while thinking of that person, it shows up as it would with someone with a strong addiction. And we cannot turn that off at will. And that's not our fault either. But we don't always consider that there are parts of ourselves that we need to have more time to release. You know, there's nothing wrong with this, but this is hard because there's biological functions going on. So having time to spend time and learn that love actually comes within us, because as much as we want other people to love us, the truth is Christmas is about love, and it's not about external love. It's about accessing the internal love that is our natural right. And when we can do that, we're actually changing ourselves in a way that we're valuing ourselves. So even when we go into attracting a new relationship, the viewpoint we have of ourselves and who we're being now is going to shift. So we're going to have a new viewpoint of who we're going to accept in our life, because we're starting to love ourselves. And we do know that when we're in that pain, there's no one that can help us. So heartbreak is, with Christmas, would go with honoring Christmas as a time to give to yourself, to go within yourself, to find that place of peace and calmness within. You know, we need to have other people around us. That's a natural need of a human, to be around other people. And as we're vulnerable, it's easy to, you know, say we're vulnerable with that. And that's a really good, you know, we're okay. We're feeling vulnerable around people, and that's okay. But it's really love, Christmas. giving to ourselves in a way we've never given before. And it does take the time to do that. So there's a time to slow down to do that. And of course, there's a time to be around people. So yeah, I believe that, you know, even knowing that Christmas is about love, why weren't we told that? Then heartbreak is in the place where it's a time to give to ourselves and not feel that we've got to be rushing into the excess. And that is not Christmas. So it's cleaning up what Christmas isn't. And, you know, when our children see us go within, they're going to learn to go within too. We're going to be teaching them because they will copy.
Absolutely. You know, I think that's, gosh, again, I love what you're talking about because it's so true. And Christmas is about love, and that gets lost with the presents and Santa and everything else that goes with it. But, you know, it's a time for, if you don't have the love from a partner, a romantic partner, it's time to, you know, look at you and go inside. And self-love, as you said, is really key here. Now, I know it's very difficult. And talking about these as concepts is one thing, but actually the practicality of dealing with the heartbreak when you're on your own, and you know, it's hard. You know, yes, I know I need to love myself, but my heart is broken and I miss them. And what about those routines that we used to have? And, you know, I've got to go get the tree on my own. You know, that's quite difficult. I know, like when you've got a massive tree, you're trying to shove it in your car, and you've got a little kid who can't really lift more than, you know, the front end or something. It's hard. So how do you do all that? How do you do all that? We've got some questions coming in here as well. We've got some questions here. I'm going to come to Megan in a second. I just want to read out some of these questions and we'll come to them. Deborah's saying her first Christmas on her own, she feels very low and depressed. Manish is saying eternal love should not be suppressed. We're too addicted to dopamine and happiness. Indulge in the sadness and don't suppress it. Give yourself serotonin hits by being unconditionally giving to others during Christmas. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many different ways of dealing with things, aren't there? There's so many different ways. And Megan, I'm going to come to you because I know you're going to talk to us a little bit about how you can dial down some of that heartbreak, some practical tips and tools that people can actually take away from today and just go and start implementing so that they can get through Christmas. Because when you do feel low, like Deborah was saying, and it is a scary time, isn't it?
It very much is. And let's just all remember that heartbreak cracks us open on purpose. I mean, we hate to hear these things. And I understand the concepts are really hard to absorb when we have such pain, but we are here for a reason. And so there's a moment where we just have to say to ourselves aloud, you can be a nutter, and say to yourself, I have to accept this. I have to accept this moment, not everything, but this Christmas is going to be different. It just is. But so don't make it big and scary. Just go moment by moment, baby steps. I mean, I suggest for me, what helped is to really solidify your daily routine. You get up at the same time, you journal, you go for a walk, you do a little bit of yoga. Even if you don't do any of that, you sit with yourself before you turn your phone on, the news, anything. You take that moment to yourself. When we are waking up in between, that's our sleep REMs and our conscious and subconscious, is a time where we infiltrate all that goodness to say, I'm safe. I always say I was born with my best friend. And so I always just hang out with my best friend, and that's inside of us. That's our inner self. We are, I have a concept where it's the me, it's our theme. We each have a theme. We go to our inner me, our own theme, and we are our own best friends. And at Christmas time, which is something else might come. My mother, when I was going through my divorce, my husband left us in a different country, gambled all our money away. Both my parents were sick. My mother died December 23rd. My dad died 6 months later, and my father-in-law just had passed away. And I had nothing, no money. And the children, it was, and my mother was like Mrs. Christmas. I mean, we had Frank Sinatra and Bing Crosby playing and Christmas lights, and she was always about Christmas. And so my Christmas has changed forever, but when she died at that moment, something changed inside of me that gave me strength, because it really showed me that we are, and they were married for 70 years. So for however long that while. So we have to remember, it's always just us. We're born alone, we die alone. So we have to make our daily day fun. Whoever comes in our life is just part of our journey for that time. Even our children, my children are in school and at university in different places. So when we come together, everything changes. So the children are great now. We just don't what I'm saying is don't get hung up on just one concept of what something was because it was. So celebrate in different ways. Take yourself out on dates, go shopping, buy something, wrap it up, set it under the tree from me to me. Don't open it then. Go sit down and have a glass of wine. Talk to the person next to you, compliment people, look at them, talk to other children if you don't have your children around, talk to people. When I went to go get my Christmas tree, I just was like, I don't know how I'm going to get that home. And next thing you know, the man's delivering it to my house, setting it up, putting the lights on, and not a damsel in distress. He's just like, okay, let me help. And then then I go by and give him a bottle of wine at the stand. You know, when you're by yourself, it's interesting because that energy feeds other people to kind of not help you and save you, but you interact differently. Like when you're at the airport by yourself, it's different than when you're with your husband and your family. You have to bring different parts of ourselves. And that's what we're here. We're all here to learn different lessons at different times. It's not just a staid way of being. So we got to make this fun as much as it is. And then you have to cry and you have to scream and you have to be in envy when someone's walking down the street arm in arm with their children. And it's all happy. And one Christmas, my son's favorite Christmas is when we had one shirt. I kept the shirt because he had one sweatshirt he got for Christmas and I gave him a little car. I mean, we laugh and laugh because we didn't have anything at the time when they had a lot of excess. But those things fade and new things come in because our strength. And you solidify your family differently when you don't sometimes have all those traditions. It's interesting. It's interesting how we grow through all this. So my point is, don't get hooked up on it being Christmas, just hooked up on, all right, I'm going to do my day-to-day routine. And I'm going to say, I would say, where do I go? What do I do? What do I have to say? And who am I going to speak with? So you just invite your world around you all the time. Everything changes all the time. Right?
Yeah, well said. I mean, absolutely, I agree with that. I think it is about taking your control back and saying, okay, what can I do now to make this better for me? And that's a great question to ask, rather than, gosh, this is going to be difficult. Why is this happening to me? Flipping those questions into more empowering questions, which will give you answers to some of those things that you've been talking about, Megan. Like, what can you do to make it more fun? What can you do? And I love that idea about, you know, getting yourself a gift, because that's something I do. Because otherwise there's nothing under the tree for me. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to get myself a real gift. And I've already bought my gift this year for me. And I've already used it, actually. I need to wrap it back up and put it under the tree. Because it's so nice. It's a handbag I wanted for ages. And I just went, no, I'm having that for Christmas. And so, yes, but you know, these things are really important, you know, to treat yourself, be kind to yourself, have fun. But, you know, you might have to cheat the traditional rules, like getting your own present. You know, sometimes if you've got kids and you think, gosh, you know, usually my ex would have got a present for me from the kids. I take my son to a shop where I know that there's some nice little things in there. And I give him, say, I don't know, £20 and say, right, you've got £20, go choose mummy a present. The first few years, he's like, oh, this is really difficult. I don't know what you want. But actually, even when it's sort of random ornaments and stuff, the fact that he's picked them out and they are so cute, and you just think, gosh, he went into that shop and he chose that. And then he wraps it up. It's mainly sellotape, less paper, more tape. But then, you know, and it's under the tree and he gets so excited then when I open it. And he's like, Mummy, I chose that for you. And it's just really lovely. So you can turn this into something that actually is more fun. You know, it's different, but you've got to get used to being different. I think, you know, things have to change. They don't have to be the same, but you can get as much joy and as many magic moments from that, from those differences. So absolutely, I love that. I mean, it sounds like you've been through a tough time there, Megan, and you've come out the other side. So following on from that, team, so I think it's very relevant to a lot of people. You know, what would you say if you could give one piece of advice for what got you through those tough times, what would it be?
Well, I think knowing that, you know, it was just that profound moment when I realized how whatever happens in life, you are alone, and not in a alone, lonely way. I just go and connect to myself. That's where your inner strength comes out. And all the people that come with you along your way are sometimes, I'm stumbling here, but the biggest lesson I found is the people in your life that really help you along the way are not the people that you think are your day-to-day people. It's really interesting. So there are angels placed all over the world, strangers, little moments of little nuggets that people give out. Listen to those. You're never, ever, ever alone. You have a smile from someone, you know, at the till. You have a smile from someone crossing the street, but then you give those out too. Exchange is huge in your life. Even if you are alone all day, you are not, because you can engage with other people. So there's a strength. What I'm saying is honor the strength that's inside of us. We often just give it to other people. We become codependent. We think it's only our husband or our children that can give us things, but it's really us. Play, have fun. You know, it's just, you're always safe. You're always, always safe. Sometimes I say that to myself. I say, come on, let's go. Where are we gonna go? Let's get a coffee. And sometimes I'm like, no, let's sit down. Why? Because then somebody comes up and then you talk to them. There's always a message from other people. You're never, ever alone. Lonely is different than alone, but being lonely is a choice. That's kind of a victim-y behavior where our mind goes. And I know neurologically we're wired to have different feelings come up, but you've got to sit with them and combat them. But no, we're always alone. No one can do anything for us. We have to do everything ourselves. Everything else is kind of complementary and fun. But when we know it's ultimately to us, then we have a richness.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree. Couldn't have said it better. Okay, so we've got lots of comments coming in here. So Jen is saying, hi Jen, some coping strategies that she uses on Christmas. Make breakfast, play Christmas music, high energy, and dance around the kitchen. The rest of the day will be magical as I'm in such a great healing physiological state. Oh, and Imma says, I think Christmas is an opportunity to create new traditions with our children. Absolutely. I love that. We can even plan with them what can be exciting to do together. For example, going to a pantomime, football match, experiences that will create lovely memories and will help them bond nicely. Semma, what kind of Christmas traditions do you think? You know, sometimes we get stuck in a rut, don't we, with Christmas traditions? And you think, well, because you've always done it that way for so many years with your ex, you know, it can be hard to change. What's your advice on that?
My advice is it's never too late to start something new. So in my case, I actually use the Christmas time to travel. So whenever my daughter is away visiting her father, I actually, arrange a solo trip for myself, and I keep going to different countries I haven't been before. So for me, it's like I'm discovering myself more, enjoying my own company, and also having fun. So, you can always create a new way of doing things. It's all in your control. It's all in your hands. So that's how I do it.
Yeah, I love that idea, because for me, if I've done my Christmas early, then it's like, great, I get to redesign Christmas for me. What do I want to do? So, I mean, some years I've just had all my single mates over, and obviously you could do things differently. If you've got kids around, then you've got this, all the focus is on the kids, understandably, and all the presents, whereas it's less about the presents, more about the partying, the music, the conversations, and it's more, it's good fun. It's different fun, but it's in a different way, but you get to experience both. So you get the two Christmases as well. And one year I went to work I volunteered for a charity, a homeless charity. I have to say that was mind-blowing, because you go to these places and it was a refuge. So they'd opened up for Christmas, and everyone, it's crisis at Christmas, and everyone came in off the streets. And I thought, oh, I'm going and I'm going to help. But oh my goodness, I got so much back more for me. And it actually fundamentally changed me at my core, those 4 days I spent working in the shelter. It was, the people I met and the conversations I had, the volunteers as well. I mean, amazing people. A lot of them had been on the streets and come out. There weren't many people that, weren't in that situation. So it was a fascinating how kind, and going back to what Gaining was talking about, the kindness and the love and compassion that people had was incredible. So yeah, those new routines, doing something different, giving back at Christmas. Gaining, what do you think about that?
That is the most rewarding thing. And when you feel it for people, they feel it back. Like it's amazing, like what you were saying, going in and giving to people. They seem to include you in your space and accept you as even. And that's the best you can get. But I love those things, and I also love what was suggested, dancing around the kitchen with music, like getting up Christmas, playing music or something beautiful, having that special breakfast, and simply like having a cup of tea in the sun or in front of the fire, depends which country you're in. I mean, they are priceless, but Christmas is your own magic. And if you don't have a family, because I know there's people who only have themselves, and it's like to go and offer to assist like you did, and to have that amazing feeling of connection with people you've never met before. And it's just amazing. But for a person alone to also set their own routine, have that special breakfast to cook, have that time for music, have that special movie, have that time to go out. We need human interactions. And there's carols on, you know, and you can be part of a crowd without being alone, you know, well, being alone, but you're not alone, you're part of the crowd. But it's a great experience. And you know what I found the best is doing the things that we never do, but we do them. And it's not so much about being elegant. Like, I never get buses, right? Never get buses, but my car was getting fixed. I had to get buses. And I went out the front and I thought, I have to learn buses, right? Well, one bus went one way across the street, the other bus went that way. That was it. I learned my master and I know it's a little thing, but for me, doing the little things made me smile, made me think I can do that. And I crawled under a fence to go the quick way to gym, and all of a sudden doing things that you never do before. I was so proud of myself. I mean, just something you haven't done before. It's a great experience, whether you do it elegantly or not. It's a good story to tell, and that's when your self-esteem and self-worth increases. So over Christmas, find things you haven't done, and it doesn't matter how you do it. You did it and tick the box, and it's like, there you've got a story, and it can keep you smiling. I'm still smiling about my crawling under the hole in the fence, but you know, we need to enjoy ourselves and our humor. And it can be hard when you're when you're alone and you have no family and you're heartbroken.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
you can turn it around by so many ways, the music and everything.
We had a question from Jen actually, Gaining, saying, how do you demonstrate self-love? I know you talked about that a bit earlier.
Love that you asked that. Just what I was waiting for. There's a really good, a really easy exercise. So we know that breathing calms our nervous system and gives our brain the message we're calm. So taking a few deep breaths, and everyone don't do this if you're driving, don't do this if you're operating machinery, and even if you're walking, you really don't want to bump into something, so better that you stop. Right, so if you just take a few deep breaths and calm down, and as you breathe in and let go, and breathe in and let go, and you can feel your body starting to begin to be calmer. You can start to feel you're even going within, and you're becoming more present in your body, but at ease. And then if you bring your awareness down to your heart center, and you can like look inwards, and you just think, soften my heart. That's all you have to do. Soften my heart. You can put your hand on your heart or the heart center, and soften my heart. Let your heart soften and let your mind open. And we're giving ourselves a body experience, and we can feel that shift immediately. And sometimes we don't communicate with our heart. There's a lot of things we don't communicate to ourselves. We can have some experiences that really distress us, but we don't even communicate that to ourselves, which is pretty astounding. So it leaves a part of us not being communicated to or with. So when we feel and go down and soften our heart, and we feel that, our heart starts to open up, and we become softer within ourselves. And we, as we do, we dial down emotions, we bring ourselves to this state, and we change the way our body is, and we change the way we feel. And then you can find a place of happiness in your body, and you can link into that and bring that back with you, so you're more in waking state or aware state now. But it doesn't take long, but it's worth every effort we put into it, because we change. Did you feel that? Like, I can feel the calmness just by a few minutes. That is how I would tap into self-love. And if you're really distressed and you can't settle, go to the bedroom, maybe put on nice music, hands, and go into that exercise of simply breathing. But don't stress about the breathing. Just let yourself breathe and go down to your heart and soften your heart, and repeat that over and over, and find any distress release from your body. Because there are times we get so overwhelmed and scattered, and with the hormonal changes in our body because of the upsets we're going through and everything coming from us, we need that time to do that. And there's times our body doesn't actually want to move, and being too disciplined, which is required sometimes to get moving, isn't the time at times. Sometimes just laying there and doing that and not expecting anything. And then as you go through that, your body will naturally feel to get up. And living 5 minutes at a time, it's not a bad way to go. So don't over expect of yourself the next step and the next step. It's that kindness and learning it for life.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're spot on there, Gayleen, because I think one of the things that, you know, we forget is sometimes, you know, changing things up, you know, forcing ourselves to go out, do things, distracting ourselves. That's one way. And again, it's all a combination of different tools. There's the other side where you have to, as Manish has said, you know, face some of those negative emotions, step into them, experience them, do the breathing, do the calmness and the stillness, and not being afraid to do that. Because actually, once you start to face your fears rather than just running away from them, which is human nature, by the way, we all run away from things we don't like. But if you can dip your toe in and experience it and face it for a little while, what it does is it gives you a bit more control, because it dials down its control over you. Because you know that you can go there and you can pull yourself back out and you can go on and still do the fun things, but you're actually strong enough to be on your own for moments. And I know it's difficult. I mean, Mel said that her husband walked out on her, and I think the kids as well, and has lied about being with someone else. And it's hard thinking that I'm so heartbroken this Christmas and he's already moved on. I just want to stop thinking about him. And this actually happened to me just before Christmas. And so I completely relate to that. And it is very, very difficult. And unfortunately, you know, there is no magic wand to take away all the pain, but there are lots and lots of coping strategies you're learning from all of us today that you can do just to put into place, you know, and some of them will resonate more strongly with you. At Christmas, it can be hard, but again, shifting your focus is going to be a key tool to help you move through this. So what do I mean by shifting your focus? I mean, your husband, you know, he's gone off with somebody else. That's really difficult. You're dealing with the betrayal. What we want to do is shift your focus away from that. And how can you make this Christmas super special for you and the kids? If you could design your Christmas just the way you wanted it, well, bearing in mind that he's not part of that, but making the best of it, what would you do? Who's your friend that you would invite round maybe that's going to make it really fun? Where would you go maybe that could make it more interesting? What could you bring into the day that the kids will really love? You know, this is a chance to start putting in some of those new routines that Zemma was talking about, like creating new traditions, doing things differently, you know, for you and your kids. Maybe have that conversation. Hey kids, we're going to do Christmas totally differently this year. What do you want? Do you want sweets for breakfast? Do you want to go for a walk first thing in the morning? What do you want? Let's get everyone's ideas in and let's create something different, but everybody enjoys it. It can be fun. Because again, you know, your kids will take their lead from you, and you could go and blow the doors off Christmas this year. Yes, okay, there may be some sadness because your ex isn't with you. There may be some sadness around thinking about what they're doing. But again, we can't control what other people are doing, and that just upsets us. So shifting the focus back on what you can control and making some decisions about, right, okay, it may not be like it has been, but I'm going to make it the best it can possibly be, is a really good way to sort of reframe things in your head. Manish has put here, flirt, attention from the opposite sex is the best tonic. Oh my goodness, what do you think about that, Megan?
Well, of course, you know, that's always lovely. It's lovely in any way, opposite sex and the same sex, not as maybe romantic, but just in people. This is just about igniting our own flame, right? So when we do get that attention, yes, of course, you know, see what people are trying to always shine your inner light to somebody else's inner light. There's always something about that. And then that brings your vibration up. Everything is little tiny steps. And you were saying before about, you know what, it just came to me, like, you know, maybe we shouldn't, there's always little traditions we have at every holiday or anything that's happening. But the best thing we can do is learn to be flexible. Don't get stuck in this is how it has to be. This is Christmas only if we do these 5 things. Christmas is magical. It's, you know, Christ within. It's within ourselves, whether you're Christian or whatever. It's just a moment of inner reflection. It's just a time where the world stopped. That's the magic. Ironically, we've all stopped for a couple of years now. So perhaps a lot of us have different ways of seeing that now. I think we've all collectively shifted. So now is a time to say, you know what? everything isn't the same. Nothing ever stays the same. Everything changes. And when we recognize that, it's easier to get over heartbreak and the little traditions that you started with those people, your husband or your partner at that time was only for a couple of years, because before that we had our family time. So know consciously that nothing has just a linear way of being. And that is because every day we're not the same person. We're not the same person as we were yesterday, not the same person as we were 10 years ago. So every day brings growth and movement within ourselves. And I completely agree. Take that time to go within, but more than that, it's try not to be reactive. What we're learning in life is to be responsive and not reactive. So we have to take control. We have to have morning routines. Sara, I know you love to go for walks. We have to go out in nature, even if you throw your sweats on, even if you put your bare feet, grounding saves me, even in this country where it's damp and freezing. I go out in my coat and I put your feet on the earth, bare feet, for at least 5 minutes, and then you go get warmed up. But I can't tell you, with all the electromagnetic and all the chaos and everything that's around us, you do that, everything shifts. If you feel ill, if you feel sick, you go out. It's ideally 20 minutes, but here it's hard. But you put your feet barefoot on the ground, because we're meant to be with the earth. That in itself just brings you down. And then even if you're with people, you can go do that, come back in, and just you're changed. You don't even have to, a lot of these things aren't conscious. You just go do things and life happens around you. There are messages and whispers from everybody you meet at every time, from every tree, from every leaf, from every flirt at the bar, and from every, when you're getting your coffee. We have to see that every day is a gift in all sorts of ways. However, I agree with watching a sad movie and getting a lot of this stuff out, because it is sad. There is a sadness that is it's heart-wrenchingly sad. And there's moments that are overwhelming. And sometimes I watch one of those crazy romance, ridiculous movies where like Jake from your hometown ends up coming home and staying, all those crazy. And there are always strange little messages that come right back at you. So you feel like you're doing something silly. But honestly, sometimes you get little messages. So if you have instincts, you have moments to say, I'm going to go see that. I'm going to turn this on. Oh, I shouldn't watch that. There's a message that's coming to you. Accept it, learn it, and stop judging ourselves. Just go have fun. And that's right. Dance around the kitchen, turn the music up, have fun. But then really ask yourself questions all the time. I do all the time. Like, okay, what did I mean by that? What's that feeling? Why is that coming up? Okay. And Sara, I know I've talked to this before, and then it's like when something's coming up and overwhelming you, I taught my children from a young age, we literally get up and go to the window and throw that thought or that fear or that moment or that anger or that out of the window and let it go out. And then you say, okay, I'm going to fill that space that left with light. And then you walk away. It's a nanosecond. It's like a thought. It's like you could be vacuuming and it can happen. You don't make it a thing. But you do it all the time, even if you're out. So these little tips that we're giving everyone and people have given me are things you integrate in your life. It's not just for a time period. At Christmas, these things are always, always, always evolving. We all have to do, and we have to remind each other. I'll be like, go have a word to my friend the other day. I'm like, go have a word with yourself. Go have something sitting there, go have a word. And she came back. I'm like, say something to yourself, talk. So like I do it all the time. I look like a lunatic, but I can't tell you how it helps. Because I'm alone a lot. You have to have that dialogue going. And no one knows you more than you. And so you get to know yourself the most, because I promise you, we come into this world alone, we leave alone. In between, you get the most amazing people. You just have a different depth about you when you know yourself more. And that is what, back to Heartbreak, this is why you have been given this time. It's a pause in your life, because we get so attached to other people. We blur our boundaries with other people. We don't know who we are. So have fun. Learn about yourself. You learn about yourself. That's your biggest gift we can give. But have fun and flirt. Go have a glass of wine, sit down, have a cup of coffee, and talk to other people. Invite that exchange in your life, which is a gift.
It is a gift. It is a gift. And we have a choice, don't we? We can either see it like that, Megan, and we can see it as a gift, or we can see it as, oh gosh, this is going to be horrific. This is going to be tough. Right. This is going to be challenging. And I think these are the points in our life that define us. What do you do when you get to that crossroads where you're like, oh, this is really tough? This challenge, this trauma, this heartbreak is all consuming right now. Well, you have a choice. You can either step up and go forward and make this into a positive, because adversity does make us stronger if you're learning the lessons. If you're looking back and going, okay, you know, where do I take, no, it's not your fault maybe, but some responsibility for allowing the situation to get to a certain point, or for not making a decision sooner maybe. And then, you know, learning the lessons. Like, my next partner needs to be someone who, you know, maybe has different qualities, maybe doesn't lie, doesn't let me down, isn't deceitful, you know, is kind, is loving, is caring, like Gaining was talking about, which is what Christmas is all about. And going out there more open, looking for people who fit that criteria, rather than people that maybe in the moment might be good looking, or, you know, chemistry might be there, but the personalities, you know, leaves a lot to be desired. So these things are important. What does Manish say? Don't be a typical London commuter, connect to others around you. Yeah, exactly. Quite often, I mean, Gailey's in Australia, she's joining us from Australia right now, but yeah, of course, you know, when you're commuting, us Brits tend to sit there and just newspaper up and just all on our phone, you know, no one engages at all. But I think it's really nice just to spread the love, even if you're just smiling at people, or making a friendly morning comment as you sit down. You know, you can open up. And sometimes it's the people you don't expect that really step up in your life at these times. You know, it's not necessarily your closest friends. Sometimes it's people on the periphery, but sometimes people outside of your life that step up, you know, and who, you know, you might never have expected to. I know this is really common. And I think if you can do that, you can turn the situation around, you know, because I know with hindsight, which is a beautiful thing, isn't it, that looking back, you know, my breakup taught me so many positive lessons, and I've gone on to do more and meet more like these amazing women here, you know, to create something that is actually helping other people. And what can you do to turn this around and make some good out of it, to something that is going to maybe inspire you in the future, or inspire your friends and family, or maybe most importantly, maybe your kids. So these things are important. And somehow I think it's important to have that hope that you can get through this, even maybe if you don't have the how right at the beginning, because I know you've been through a lot in your life, lots of different challenges. And, you know, looking back from where you are now, would you say that having hope got you through?
Definitely. So I've been divorced twice. I've been through this twice. The first experience was much more terrifying, because at the time I was still in my early 20s and I had a 1-year-old daughter at the time. But as you said, hindsight is a wonderful gift that, you know, we never have. So during my first divorce, I thought that was it. Like, you know, I'm going to be miserable for the rest of my life. And I'm a single mom. That's it. You know, that's the end of my happiness, basically. But looking now back at what I thought back then, you know, it's all about mindset. I mean, I was too young then to understand what I was going through. But at the same time, because I had really good support, I actually managed to get my divorce in London, even though we got married in another country. I'm not going to go into that story yet, but because of my experience, I actually went into law school after my first divorce. So I reinvented myself from working in advertising into becoming a lawyer, only because of my interaction with my lawyer at the time during my divorce procedure. So, you know, she actually gave me, you know, she gave me a really great recommendation to actually get into law school. And during our divorce proceedings, because I was so fixed on every word that she was writing on my behalf in all of the documents, she actually joked. She said, "Oh, you know what? You would be a great lawyer." And I thought, you know, actually, I would love to be a lawyer. It's always been on the back of my mind to be, you know, to become a lawyer. And I thought, this is it. This is my chance, you know. So I went to law school with the 2-year-old. She was 2 years old when I actually applied for the law school. So this is one way how I reinvented myself. You know, think of what opportunities you have and how can you actually make a bad situation into a great one. After my second divorce, I did the same thing. I thought, okay, you know, I'm already a lawyer. I already have a good career as, you know, already existing good career. But what else can I do to shift my mindset and to feel like I am, you know, doing something more than what I already have. And I became a divorce coach. So, you know, I attended Sarah's divorce coaching program, which was an amazing program. And I wanted to give back. I wanted to give back to society, and I wanted to share with others all the lessons that I've learned from both divorces. And I also wrote a book about that. So, you know, so it's like everything happens for a reason. And it's always your choice on how you react to things and how you make things better. You know, you can wallow in sadness. You can say, oh, you know, I'm such an unlucky person, and look what happened to me, you know. But at the same time, you can say, no, this happened for a reason, and there must be a silver lining under everything that happens in your life. And for me, I know that my second divorce brought me where I am right now in this webinar, you know, talking to other people about giving them advice and helping them with, you know, their divorce situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've done such an amazing job to turn things around and make it a positive, you know, to take the good stuff and, you know, learn from the bad stuff. I think that's really important. So guys, I'm going to come around and ask you your one final sort of closing piece of advice for people listening who maybe are struggling with some of the questions we've seen already tonight. And some of the, you know, Mel's written, I love your ideas on making new plans with the kids for Christmas and doing exactly what we want to do. Yeah, that's one of my favorite. You know, we've got to inject some fun in it, you know. And do you know what I think? My final, you know, my thing is that you can turn this around, okay? And actually, sometimes stuff happens in your life that breaks things apart, that makes things hard, that you think, gosh, why is this happening? This is so tough. But actually, this is meant for you right now. This is meant for you to learn something, because life has a funny way of teaching us lessons. Maybe we don't see them coming, but it will keep teaching us those lessons until we bank them and go, okay, I'm getting it now. I get it. I'm supposed to learn this. I'm supposed to get a little bit more strength out of this situation. But the real beauty of this is that you are free now to become the person that you are meant to be. But also, if you've got kids with you, this is an absolute gift, guys, to give to your kids, to show them that when things go wrong, when we don't get that fairy tale ending that we all dreamed of maybe, or that you'd hoped for and that you bought into, and maybe you've made lots of sacrifices to. I know from my coaching clinic, so many people make so many sacrifices to stay in relationships because they think this is what's meant to be. But actually, you know, showing your kids that sometimes when the wheels fall off, you can pick yourself up, you can dust yourself down, and you can go on and create a life that you're even happier with is the biggest gift of a life lesson for a child. Because especially right now with the mental health issues for teenagers and the suicide rates going through the roof, you know, kids think, oh, if it hasn't worked out, there's no option, my life's over. But that's not true. And if you can teach them as their role model, as their parent, look, you know what, 1 foot forward, and look, you can turn your life around. Yes, there's sad moments. We don't want to brush them away. We've got to face the hard times. They come up. But giving them the tools to manage the tough times, whether it's dancing around your kitchen, like Jen said, with the music blaring up, or showing them to put a smile on their face will dial up their emotions. They're going to feel better no matter what they're coping with. Or 5-star jumps in the middle of Sainsbury's, a supermarket over here, you know, just to change your state if you're struggling. You know, whatever it is, it's okay. And giving your kids those coping strategies and setting an example that actually we can turn things around. And it doesn't matter what life throws at us. If we learn from it, we become stronger and we become the people we're meant to be. That's an amazing gift. That's so, Gailey, what would you say moving forward for people? What's
well, I am in complete agreement with you. Life wants us to move forward. If someone waved the wand, right, for everything to disappear, we'd probably do it again. It's not what we need. It actually isn't. What we need to is like observe where we're not being our best. And not blame ourselves because we've got patterns passed down on us. But life is going to get us to move forward. And this is about evolving to a better place, right? It really, and you just said the same, Sara. So, and the only way we're going to evolve to the better place and get away from the world that made us a product of it to actually know we're deciding to create it. And when we create the world this time, it's going to be from a better place of where we're doing this because we would love that. We know it's a great thing. We know our children are learning from it. And it's not going to be based on hate or greed, because if we manifest, and we do, why do we need greed? We don't need to climb over people anymore. And why do we do things to compensate for us? We don't even need to do that. When we evolve and get our sense of power, like the girls have been speaking about, we show up for ourselves, and there's no better feeling in the world than being self-reliant and yet being able to communicate and put your hand up for assistance, but it coming from within you. This Christmas, right, what I'm doing different, I just saw someone's message about what are we doing different. I want to, like, since Christmas is about love, and if I'm filled with love, and I want to make new goals for next year, right? And the best part about when you make a new goal, you will attain that goal, but the stuff within you that's going against the goal is going to come up to clear. So it's a good thing. You cannot throw out rubbish till it shows up. And basically that is all we're doing. It's just uncomfortable. But when you meet that challenge, like I look on those shows, those army shows, you know, where you've got to carry that 50, 60, 100 kilos on your back, I would take this because I cannot do that. So I'm looking at anything I need to climb over here as those things, because I know, yep, I got that. And it's not nearly as hard compared to what those people go through on those shows, right? So, you know, and when we know we're all doing it, we're not alone. You're not alone. You're not the only one doing it. And it is hard, but we can do it. And this year for me is goals at Christmas. I'm going to bring a bit more of a spiritual thing into it by doing a meditation and just bring that, like, I love the word magic. And I know it's physics, science, whatever, but magic works for me. I'm bringing more magic into everything. Because Pollyanna, she was more intelligent than you think, right? So yeah, more magic. And because magic's really good fun, and magic is really based on intelligence. But we do need that feeling of magic and lightness. So that's more magic in Christmas and in my new year.
Love it. I love it. A bit more magic at Christmas. Thank you, Katie. Megan.
Megan, my closing. I agree. I think all of these, everyone united here today has given us really the essence of what life is about. And I feel that we just have to be our own best friend and really talk to ourselves and ask ourselves what we're going to do and push ourselves a little bit, but also sit with ourselves and to let the pain come out, because that's shifting each and every one of us at every time. And we're all on different trajectories. Grab your children and laugh that things aren't the same, and move things on and create something new. A couple of years ago, we were in a really, really terrible spot during my divorce, and a friend gifted us a hotel night on Christmas Eve. And we were walking around, and I could only buy the children one thing, and we all shared a bed, and we turned on the music, and we took baths, and I went down and had a drink at the bar, and the children were having fun. It turned out to be the best Christmas ever. And we didn't even know about it until that morning, because where we were staying didn't have hot water. It was just, but we were in this beautiful place. It was back, and my son goes, "We're back," you know, like, you know, but it was just momentary. And that we all look back on, because that shifts you just inside. So little tiny things bring us back to our knowing, and our knowing is inside of us. All the other things on the outside can be fun, but they can be debilitating too, because they're not real. We go back into us, look around, we have each other on this earth because there's messages being given to us so that we all grow, so that we move to the next place in time. So have fun, relax, cry, laugh, be upset, you know, watch a silly film, eat some food, have some champagne, or take a long walk and help other people. Do whatever your instincts show you, and know that you're always safe because you have your inner best friend. And talk to yourself. Yeah, you're always safe.
Inner best friend. Awesome. And Zemma.
So, I mean, I agree with everyone else's comments already, so I don't want to repeat them already, but I'd like to say that I think the biggest thing that the biggest message I'd like to share is that celebrate you, you know, whether it's Christmas, whether it's summer, whether it's Easter, it doesn't matter. You know, you have to enjoy your own company. You have to do whatever it takes to bring yourself joy. So don't try to focus on the negatives. Don't try to focus on what you don't have. Think of what you already have. You know, you have yourself, you have your children. If you have a career, then, you know, obviously you work on that as well. You have other family members, you have friends. So focus on what you have instead of what you don't have. And also think of what can you change and pivot in your life to bring even more joy. And how can you move forward, as Galen mentioned before. You know, we were born to grow. We're not born to go backwards. So every day is a new opportunity to you know, that you have to make the most of. So seize the day and do whatever it takes to bring yourself joy and move forward.
Absolutely. I love that. I mean, we're all saying very similar things. We've covered a lot of topics, and I hope those of you who are listening and tuning in have found it useful. Do put your final thoughts, guys, in the chat box, so that, you know, if you found it useful, just put a Y and we can see that, or a smiley face. It'd be good to see what your thoughts are. I mean, my closing thoughts are, look, it is what you make it. You control your life, okay? And this is a chance to redesign your life and make it just the way you want it, okay? Detox out all the stuff that you don't want anymore. Stop doing the things that don't serve you. Get rid of the people that drain you and don't make you feel good about yourself, or limit the amount of time you connect with them, and actually shifting your focus to making things better, not just for you, but for your friends, your family, you know, and your kids. You know, this is your chance. This is your chance to step up. You know, Christmas can be magical no matter what you're going through, but you have to take the reins. You have to step up and tap into all those good things that you're grateful for, and the fun and the magic and the self-love and the kindness and compassion that comes with it. So I hope you've had a great time. Emma says Christmas is at the end of the year. Perfect time, I think, of new plans and projects for our lives. Hope, dream and create. Isabel says, thank you so much. So many great ideas. Love the spiritual vibe. Loving that. Mel, I feel so much more positive with all your great ideas. Lots of food for thought. Thank you all so much. I hope you all have a great Christmas. Yes, guys, have a wonderful Christmas. We're here. Lots of love. Do reach out if you need us. You can follow us on Instagram. But I look forward to seeing you at a new webinar soon. Mwah.